meeting is being video and audio recorded for future cable broadcast. Please silence all cell phones for the duration of the meeting. May I have a motion to open the school committee meeting?
So motion.
Second.
We'll do a roll call.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mrs. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes. Okay, can we start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I think we have a special guest performance.
Guys, I'll take a step forward. One big step forward. Give me space.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to introduce the chorus and what they're going to do?
Sure. This is this is about 30% of the Ford Middle School chorus. This is 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The 5th grade have had exactly 2 chorus classes. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade have met all year long. The chorus is actually performing tomorrow morning at Whalers Cove in New Bedford as part of our PRM Foundation grant. That's our community outreach grant. So we will go and perform for the residents at Whalers Cove, and then we share some snacks and refreshments, which is everybody's favorite part. And then on Sunday, we perform the national anthem before the Providence Bruins game. So that's a big, exciting event for us. And in 2 weeks, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band will perform at the Micah Band Festival. That's like, we call it the MCAS of Music. It's a state festival. There are 7 states all across the state. There are only, I think, 100 spots for bands and choruses to perform it. We were lucky enough to get one of those spots, so we're going to Agawam next Friday the 27th, and we will perform for a panel of judges and then have a clinic with one of those judges, and we'll get a rating and plaque, and it's very, very exciting. It's a fun day. And that wraps up Music in Our Schools Month, and so we're going to perform for you the Star Spangled Banner, and then we'll do another song. But if you could please rise and remove your hats for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bolts bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Our other selection is called Make New Friends. Great life advice for all of us.
Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. Make new friends, but keep the old. Make new friends, but keep the silver and the other silver and the other gold. Make new friends, but keep the
tie my shoes today? Yes, I tied my shoes today. Thank you. Exit the same way.
Thank you, Foster family, grandmothers,
Go.
sisters, thank you.
Go.
Have fun tomorrow.
Watch your step, watch your step, watch your step. Thank you all.
Great job.
I was told that Mr. Chairman forced Joe this afternoon to eat undoing on ice cream, like completely unmanned. So much ice cream.
All right, well, that's a tough act to follow, but we'll try. So the first item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Everything listed in the consent agenda was distributed in advance of the meeting. Does anyone have any requests for something to be removed from the consent agenda and discussed or voted on separately? May I have a motion to approve and accept the items listed in the consent agenda, including the minutes from the February 10th, 2026 meeting?
So moved.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unopposed. Dr. Bailey, do we have anyone signed up for delegation?
We do not.
Okay. So Dr. Bailey, I'm going to turn it over to you for old business.
Sure, old business, we have the high school tuition agreement update. I'm happy to report that last night I attended the New Bedford School Committee meeting, and the school committee there voted unanimously to agree to our tuition agreement that we have in place. So we'll be getting the signed copies, we'll be working with them, so we're very pleased with that. And then we did send some counters over to Old Rochester on Friday, and we're supposed to hear back either yesterday or today, and I'm still waiting. So as soon as I hear something, I will be in touch and let the chair know, and individually know as well. But I don't anticipate any issues, it's just, it takes a little longer. And then we have stakeholders that he's presenting it to, et cetera. Any questions on that?
Any update? I think there was a meeting that we were going to have with Fairhaven,
Yeah.
the storm.
So the blizzard, we were supposed to have a meeting with Fairhaven High School for negotiations for a successor agreement, and we just rescheduled it to the end of the month based on the storm.
Okay.
So if it's okay with you, I'll go right into new
Go ahead.
business. Okay. Our first agenda item is our spotlight on education. As you know, we like to spotlight all the good work that we're doing each month. So applied learning update at FMS, and we have Mrs. Sylvia, the principal, to present to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the school committee, Dr. Bailey. Just the tenets of applied learning that we post everywhere. So we got the Project Lead the Way grant. We are so excited. So $28,000 in grant funding will be distributed over 3 years to help our project lead the way. We are super excited about this. So we join a community of over 350 schools with Project Lead the Way in Massachusetts, and we are excited about the impact it will have on our students. So next year, all 7th and 8th grade students will participate in design and modeling. This introductory experience will allow all students to develop confidence, and they'll become familiar with the Project Lead the Way instructional practices. In the summer, our teachers will go to a 1-week in-person professional development on implementing Project Lead the Way. 27-28, 7th grade will continue with design and modeling, because that would have been next year's 6th graders. The 8th graders will continue to go to CSIM, they call it Computer Science for Innovators and Makers. It's above my thinking level. When I saw the kids, we went to Sandwich Middle School to watch this, and it was amazing what they were doing. 8th grade, the 3rd year, so then by that year, 7th grade will be design and modeling, CSIM will be in the 6th grade will be design and modeling, 7th grade will be CSIM, and then the 8th grade, they're going to be medical detectives. And that does align with our OSC McKenna unit. The 8th graders have to diagnose what's wrong with McKenna in that unit. In design and modeling, they're going to design a toy for a child with cerebral palsy, fabricate it, test it, make necessary modifications. This is going to be with the 3D printer we have already. We may have to use some of the funding to buy another 3D printer. CSIM, they have a choice. They can produce a wearable safety device, engage in an art installation, make a useful mechanic dispenser for a person or animal. That's what we saw most of them. They were making a pill dispenser or a cat or dog food dispenser with these little bits that they call microcontrollers with inputs and outputs, and they developed the code that brings the physical designs to life. Like I said, it was amazing to see them doing that. And then in the 8th grade in 3 years, they are going to be dissecting a sheep brain, investigating a disease outbreak, and exploring how breakdown within the human body can lead to dysfunction. But already our 8th graders are making dialysis tubes in the McKenna unit. And then in the 6th grade, they are dissecting chicken wings. So all of this is going to be bringing a lot of our current programming all together. We're so excited to get this grant. And this was from the 1-8 Foundation as well. On the way out, we had the 1-8 Student Industry Connects. Mr. Salmia put all his projects in the front foyer. And this was they got some feedback on their presentation. They didn't get it in real time. They got the written feedback. You provided a lot of evidence to back up your claims and knew where and when to use the data. It's a key skill in sciences. I like how you used specific data from the table to support your explanation. I thought your diagram showed a great understanding. I was impressed with your alternative hypothesis as well by saying that there might be a shortage of the bear population. I really liked the structure of your first answer about how bears stay alive during hibernation without eating. You started by stating the key facts and calculations. Those are just examples from the industry professionals. I want to highlight how effective and impressive your illustrations were. Your drawings add clarity to your model. We have started the Harlem Renaissance pilot. The Voices of Holocaust pilot starts next week. Grade 5 will start their pilot, I believe, at the end of April for ELA. And then we also have the ongoing pilots in illustrative math as well. Questions?
This is great.
Thank you, Mrs. Sylvia. This all aligns to our strategic plan. And as you can see, the kids are doing great work. And I'll get more into that a little later in my agenda. So next up, we're going to talk about superintendent's recommended budget. And I'm going to ask our business manager, Mr. Petronio, to give the presentation, and we'll get to that.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin just briefly going over our mission and our vision. So the mission of the Acushnet Public Schools is partnership with staff, parents, and community to promote student success, growth, and learning in a safe and supportive environment. Our vision is the vision of the Acushnet Public Schools is to be a high-performing school district where all students are afforded the opportunity to realize their potential. So our strategic objectives are achieving academic excellence for all students, creating a thriving social and emotional learning experience for all students, and strengthening our partnerships with parents and the larger community. So this is what we take into account as we're building our budget. Our budget creation starts in January, where we have to create the superintendent's budget. During the month of February, that superintendent's budget is what we review with the school committee to go over our goals and our objectives. And in March is when we have more discussion with the school committee. We have public hearings on the budget, and at which point in time we basically turn our needs over, we put our request into the town for our budget. We wait to hear back from them on what they will fund us, what level they will give us on our upcoming budget. then during the month of April, we go and we try and adjust our budget to meet what they're going to give us for an appropriation. So just to understand how the budget is built, we begin by looking at our funding sources. We have the town appropriation. Well, first, Chapter 70, the Department of Ed determined what our budget will be. They look at the number of students that we have, and in turn, they make a budget for us. They determine how much will be Chapter 70 and how much will be supported by the town. Their goal over the years has always been to try and increase the town's portion of that and reduce their Chapter 70. They move all districts in that realm. So for FY27, the state is requiring the town to appropriate at least $9.6 million towards our budget. Generally, the town funds approximately 57% of our budget. In addition, the town incurs expenses on their side that gets charged to our net school spending, as it's called. They pay the health insurance premiums. They produce the paychecks and so on. So those costs are accounted for and reported in what's called Schedule 19, which in turn is reported in our end-of-year report to the Department of Ed. And they go through that and look to make sure that towns and cities are meeting their obligations. So like I said, for FY27, the state has determined $9.6 million from the town, and they're going to appropriate Chapter 70, $7.5 million. For us, it's approximately 44% of the district spending. Aside from that, we have federal grants and state grants. Most of them are entitlement that we get, and they're due to our population. So we just received notice a few days ago that our ESSA grants, which are our Title I, Title II grants, they're going to be reduced next year. Apparently, from the numbers they've given us, our lower income or our poverty, students in poverty has reduced. The numbers are going down. So we're going to substantially lose more than half of our Title I next year because of that. The good thing is that people are better off financially. But in turn for us, it means a cut to our budget.
I just want to add one thing. I do believe that we have low-income students. It's all in how they claim themselves. So I do believe they're in plain sight. We do have families in need. It's just the way it's being reported at this time. And many districts are dealing with the same issue.
Yes, because
Just a question before we move on. Are there any issues with the way that those student SES levels are calculated? Is it all self-reported? Is it based on school lunch applications?
there is no more school lunch applications, but that's a very good question. So the state takes our database and they match it up against food stamps, TANF, Medicaid, their databases.
Right.
And whatever matches up is what they have. There are people that are in a situation that they don't have the income level, but they're not reporting, they're not applying for.
Right, not applying for any sort of
Exactly.
state aid, no Medicaid, food stamps, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So there is a financial form, if they're willing to fill it out, it will help us. So that's something we're going to work on between now and
Okay,
next
so there's still an
October.
opportunity to solicit more reports, if appropriate, from the community?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So the other large grant that we get is the IDEA. That's the special education grants. So far, it looks like there's been no changes. I'm expecting a little over 300,000, but we have to wait for confirmation on that to see what's going to happen. Circuit breaker reimbursement. So whatever we spend this year in special ed costs, we're responsible for approximately the first $40,000. Then anything above that, we get 75% reimbursement from the state. We'll get it next year. So we've got about $280,000 that we're accumulating this year. They come in the payments quarterly, and we will have to spend next year. So that's available to us. We try and not budget too much of that up front, because all it takes is 1 or 2 students moving into the district. They have high needs that could eat up a lot of that money. And then we have our revolving accounts and our offset accounts. School lunch is self-funded. They generate about $100,000 a year. We try and use that to replace equipment. Later on in my presentation, my business officer presentation, we'll see that they want to replace the server lines. So that's what I'll talk about. Our school rental fund and our preschool tuition funds, we try and budget whatever we take in this year for next year. We don't want to overexpend. I'd rather underexpend and let that fund grow a little bit so we have some cushion there. But those are basically our available sources of funds and any new grants we might get.
One quick question. So 57% town, 44% chapter 70. Is that the same percent as last year, or does it continue? I think there's a trend in that more continues to fall on the town versus what's coming through.
It's
chapter
slightly
70.
more on the town this year, slightly more. So basically, our funding follows our enrollment. So this slide here will show you that, look at the third column in, change in enrollment. You'll see that we've been losing quite a bit of students the past few years. There's 1 year it increases, that's right after COVID was over and students came back. But every time we lose students, we lose a lot of funding. It goes with it. And columns next to that show the chapter 70 and show the town. You can see chapter 70 creeps up where the town portion is not quite a bit. That's what chapter 70 tries to do. And then there's the change of how much additional. So this year, there's an additional $450,000 that's expected to be spent in the school department. The town, when they meet these goals, when they meet these numbers, they're estimates, and at the end, when it's finally reported, items such as like health insurance, the actuals come in. That can push that number way up. So I see a year here where there's $1 million. There could have been a lot of claims that year. We get to claim them on our report that shows that we beat net school spending. But the past couple of years, it's trended down. I know it's been tough with the budgets and we've had layoffs. And we'll see what happens this year when the town decides to appropriate for the school department. There's a lot of talk about health insurance, and it's not just in Acushnet, it's everywhere. Communities are looking at 14 to 18, even 20% increase in health insurance. A family plan is going to be over $40,000 this year. Health insurance, which is unbelievable. So that, I'm sure, is going to eat up a good portion of any available funds. I produced this chart just to show you the trend. The bright yellow is showing the net school spending, how the state continually moves that line up. Even though we lose students, the line still moves up. You'll see the blue, which is the chapter 70 funding, or the purple, it's pretty much level. Then you see the town portion, as we talked about, is ever increasing. More and more pressure on the town. Now, in the past years, many years, you would see unrestricted government aid coming to cities and towns. That was in the millions of dollars. We haven't seen that. Last year, I think it was 21,000. I think FY27 is like 42,000. There's not a lot of funds coming to the town. That used to be where we would pull funds from to help with education. It's just not there. So the estimates on the budget, when we first go through and present the superintendent's budget, we put through all the needs of the district, even though some of them will eventually, could be cut. We put it through to show what the district needs. So basically, we're looking at about $1.6 million more from last year from this year to next year, and broken out by category. There's some like personal services. Most of that is controlled by collective bargaining agreements. I'll control of that. Operations is what we can work on. Problem with an aging school, schools, is we have equipment failures that need to be repaired and such. And then, of course, high school costs, which we're working on, and out-of-district placements for, listed on this chart, for high school level. Most of those are usually a special education placement. The state sets their rate of increase, which is usually over 3%. Even though we only get about 2% increase average on chapter 70, so we have that cost. I put it in a pie chart to show you overall our budget. As you can see, most of it is in professional salaries. There is a good chunk in out-of-district tuitions, which again, those are mostly special ed required. And then as you can see, it's small. Clerical salaries is very small, paras is very small. Contracted services, which many of those are special ed and contracts we're required to have. And then supplies and materials are small, and other expenses, which is like memberships, it's professional development, it's some of the computer programs that we use, the licenses for those programs. It's a very small sliver, but as you can see, the bulk is the professional salaries. And that's actually, in Acushnet, it's a little smaller than most other districts. Most other districts, you'll see that well over 50%. You can see it as high as 70% in other districts. So I just want to show you staffing levels. So this is elementary school. Again, you see the first column, which is the teachers. You can see over the past few years, we've been reducing, trying to meet the budget that's been set. Paras have gone up, and that's because of special ed requirements, one-on-one paras, learning and medical issues, with no control of that. Almost every other category here has stayed pretty much minimal, but even as far as guidance, coaches, library, nurses. Custodians we reduced because we use a service at night. Building-based subs, they cut in half to try and save on the budget. The front office is again, three people, I think, that's bare minimum. Same with the therapists, and technology is at a bare minimum. We've got one person per school. I mean, it is what it is. Middle school is basically the same. It shows, in addition to the elementary school, it shows the front office, which looks like down a person or two. Everything else is pretty much, you'll see, the coaches, the library, the nurse, everything's pretty much even. The paras are up a tiny bit. So it's the same model as before. We are reducing staff where we can, where we have to. But in some areas you can't do a 10% cut to an office that has 2 people in it. It's either no cut or 50%. So as they get smaller, it gets tougher. This is just the past couple of years where the cuts have been made in our personnel. Some were vacancies, some were retirements, and some were right-up cuts. So you can see easily the past 2 years we're down 18 positions. So these are our budget challenges. I took everything we put into the new budget model, and basically projected it out. We have salary increases of $545,000. Title I, the grant's being cut $78,000, at least right now. They said there's a chance that it might change, but the guidance from the Department of Ed was budget for that.
When do we know if it changed? Do we know what the time?
They haven't given us an actual date, I know. They usually tell us after we set our budget. I'm not being funny with
No,
that.
I know. I'm laughing because it's true.
So, our special ed out-of-district tuitions, those again are an estimate. We're working on those as we continue, one by one, see where we stand. Electricity and heating oil. Heating oil, we added just a little to it because the cost, if you've seen, is up to $5 a gallon right now. Then what's going to be next year? But our electricity, I wasn't here last year, but apparently you've been living off credits for a year.
Mm-hmm.
We've had solar energy credits. I pretty much covered this whole year. I think this month is the first month we're actually paying a bill from our own cash. So that's about up to $250,000. That's about $225,000 of that for electricity for next year. Now, in my next report, I'll go into the solar field that we're building, but that's another year out. So
A year before we would reap any benefit.
yes, correct. The transportation, we ran the model. The contracted costs are going up 11.5%, 11.44, and I included one extra bus in the model because we don't know yet where the students are going to end up and what our busing plan is going to look like across the town. We've got time deadlines to meet. We can't send buses too late to the outlying schools. They won't be back in time for us. So for now, that's that. As we get a firm student database on who's going where, we will plot them out. Bonnie in my office is plotting them out on a map. We'll look at bus routes. We don't want to keep students on the buses more than 45 minutes. We're going to try and do it with the number of buses that we have. But if not, like I said, I factored in one extra bus. One extra bus is $92,000. It's a lot of money.
Quick question on the transportation piece. I know it's difficult to model, but do you think that it is within the bounds of possibility that we may need more than an additional single bus? Up to 2, perhaps?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. Okay.
I don't think so, because basically the model that we use, the buses circulate the town in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They go to Pope Park, and they swap off on buses there. So we would maybe have to start 5 or 10 minutes earlier, so that the bus leaves there and goes to, you know, the other outlying schools and back in time. But
so best case scenario, we're looking at 238, 612 increase minus $90,000 that we budgeted for an additional bus.
Yes.
So maybe down to, you know, 150,000. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But either way, there was a 3-year contract,
Right.
and the prices are built.
Yeah, yeah.
So mechanical
What's that
vehicle,
contract up again, by the way? Is it-
next year's our last year. But mechanical repairs and boilers, we've spent $42,000 this year on our boilers already. Good problems. I put in just a small increase on this. This is basically for boilers. I will, at our next finance meeting, discuss asking the town for appropriation to either rehab 2 boilers or replace 2 boilers. So we'll talk about that in full length, but this is just what we anticipate. We already have about 7,000 or 8,000 a boiler budgeted, and I doubled it basically, making 15,000 or 14,000 a boiler.
We should, we talked about this last time, yeah, I mean, at some point, when we engage in that conversation, we should talk about just a longer-term capital component.
So, and then all of our goods and services and legal, I know legal this year, we cut by 20,000, but we're already overspent it, so bring those budgets back in line. And then the high school tuitions, that is a lot of estimated work until we know what our contract's coming at. Bristol Aggie, I know because I called and spoke to them, I know we have 23 students going there, so we've got some firm numbers for that. So basically, I think this is our upper end.
What is the timing of, like, so the kids that got into Old Colony, for example, what is the timing when they have to make a decision and we kind of have a sense of what the numbers are shaping?
This past week, they received notices from Old Colony and I think ORR. And they've sent notices out to the students, and if they choose to go, then they do. If they don't, they drop out and they pull from the waiting list.
Sure.
So it sounds like another 2 weeks from now.
New Bedford Voc Tech, though, we do have some students going or trying to get in there, and their lottery is not until April, is my understanding, so there'll be some switching
Do
too.
we have
as well.
any kids from Acushnet currently in the Bedford Voc Tech?
Yes.
Like a lot or just a small?
Just a handful, I would imagine.
I think when I looked at it, it was around 10, give or take. Is that
Yeah.
sound about right? Yeah.
Handful.
Give or take.
So what's not included in the budget are the items here that are starred, but in the budget, we currently have a data coordinator position we haven't filled. We're looking to turn that into a special ed coordinator. Our superintendent has some thoughts on how she wants that position to go. So we literally just be adding that to the salary to get the licensed person for that position. The rest are requested from the special ed department. These are all items that they feel would help with our students. So I wanted them incorporated so that if something happens, if the House or the Senate can put a lot more money for us, if they increase Chapter 70, we've got some items we can look at, some positions to talk about.
And any of the items marked with a star, like the special ed, sub-separate teacher, reading specialist, so on and so forth, those are all not included in
Not in that
the
1.6.
budget amount that you've already presented, but the 30,000 for the special ed coordinator is included.
That is included,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
And do we have any data that would kind of help support
Yeah,
the request
so-
that we're making here?
So right now, we're in a special education audit that's happening, and we're waiting for that report,
Sure.
and we anticipate the need is there for some of these things.
Yeah.
I feel like the staff could use some help, even though we're down in enrollment in some areas, we see higher needs coming in where we need some additional assistance. So those are real needs, and we're waiting for that report so that we can be more efficient and effective in that department. As you know, in the past, we've done audits, and now it's time to do a special ed audit, and we feel like the time is right to do that based on this.
I totally believe that we have needs in this area. I think it would be helpful for the committee, and then obviously as we engage with the town to the extent that we have the data that supports this, I think it only helps.
Our Director of Student Services can definitely, at some point, talk to the needs and with data for these things.
Data and mandates.
Yes.
For sure.
And then the behavior technician, would that be working under the BCBA? Or the behavior technician, would that be working under the BCBA?
But we don't have any behavior techs.
But if for these two rules.
Right, those are
that-
requests
yeah.
that
Yes,
we
I think-
feel that we need in the district, and she wanted one at each school.
But they would be working under her, though, or?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
So just overall, like we were saying, last year's budget, this year's budget to next year's budget, about $1.6 million. And this preliminary budget reflects about a 9.9% increase. I know that sounds large, but it's about 3.7 for collective bargaining agreements, which is pretty much in line. 1.4 was the transportation. That's big. We've got no control over that. That's an item that, as you know, you bid, you get one company bidding for the work. And the other 4.8% is in operations and maintenance, and everything else is needed for the students. So overall, that 9.9 is something that if we have to work on, we will. Again, we have to wait and see what the town does it can handle for us. But we're working on that every day as it is, refining all of our numbers, getting our quotes in for more updated prices, and basically asking companies to try and hold their price. I know that Technology asked our copier company to hold their price for next year, and they said yes. So we're doing what we can in those areas.
It's asked the transportation companies to do that. Can I ask you a question? In your previous districts that you've worked in, and I know they were much different in terms of size, but was it and I don't know how often they went out to bid, it was much bigger, but did you have one company that was?
Always one company, and it was always 6% increase every year, sometimes 8%, and they blame it on the Teamsters. So the Teamsters costs. They blame it on gasoline, even though gasoline went down in price, but never, and again, only one bidder. So.
I know in speaking with Sean, or regional rep for Mass, he said, I talked to him about this, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, and he said it's the number of municipalities in the state that have more than one bidder for transportation is probably less than you can count on two hands. There's very little done about it, unfortunately.
Many of us districts have gotten together and asked the Attorney General to step in.
Right.
And they say they're going to when they're going to do a statewide contract, but it's never happened. I get a feeling that it's probably a political hot potato.
Sure. Yeah.
But it is what it is. A lot of
I've been
people
asking
end
the
up,
same question for 6 years.
well, a lot of people end up bringing transportation in-house for that reason, to save on the costs.
Yeah. I know that that's not a conversation for this year's school budget, but I think that doing some estimation and modeling to see when that becomes financially viable. I believe the school at one point in the past did all their transportation in-house, that pivoted out to contract, just like pretty much every other district, but I mean, that might be something that we have to look at along with some other regional level discussions. Yeah.
There's some good regional talk that needs to happen.
I was going to say, with just 10 buses or so, you would need a facility, you need a 40,000-pound lift to these buses. You can't be down, you have to have 2 or 3 extra buses. You can't be down.
You can't be down whenever.
There's that.
Staffing fees.
That's the problems that we run into. So some cities and towns have big old buildings that they can just take and use. But if you have to create a building for the bus, it's not the whole story.
Yeah.
So.
Is the, I know that in some other districts that may not be, we'll say, fully regionalized, they do regional transportation services, even if they don't regionalize administration and other aspects, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
That's a great way to partner with someone who has the facilities.
Yeah.
I know by Eastern Mass, Southeastern Regional they've had their own buses and had their own facilities there to handle it, and they had students that were in those courses.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great for them to have that. But
Yeah, all right. Well, bigger discussion for another day, for sure.
So at this point, we are reviewing all of our contractual costs to see what we can either get to hold or maybe reduce. We're looking at all our discretionary line items. Salaries are non-discretionary because they've been set by CBAs and all that. And going forward, actually later this week, we'll be meeting with town officials to see where we stand, what we have to work towards, and then we'll bring that to you. Or whatever they come up with, we'll bring that to you to discuss our budget.
Town meeting date is May. Do we know the date?
June. I think
It's June.
Yeah.
It's June.
Yeah, it's around the middle of it. I don't remember the date off the top of my head.
So there's a little bit of time, but
Well, I had this new town administrator coming in,
that's why here.
so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Is there any questions?
Thank you.
We are meeting with comment on Thursday, so we will continue these conversations. Next up is the superintendent's mid-year check-in for my evaluation. As you know, I always like to do a mid-year check-in. My goals and such are a 2-year cycle, so it's just the beginning of the cycle. But I like to do a mid-year check-in and just check in so that everybody is aware of all the good work that we're doing in the district. You can see on the first slide, we have our championship girls basketball team. They just won the game on Saturday against Roosevelt Middle School, so we have a very active, thriving athletic program at the middle school level, and they play competitively against the other area middle schools. So this, I like to start a presentation with the students at heart, because everything we do is student-centered. This is actually the first day of school. I have a tradition of riding the school bus, so you can see me in the back there. But I enjoy doing that. I get to interact with the students and the bus drivers, as well as some of the families, and I've done it every year since I've been here. So as you know, I have 4 goals, and then there's 4 standards that I want to review with you tonight. And again, this is just an overview. I tried to put the big nuggets in of what we accomplished, but there's so much more that we can add to this. SMART Goal 1 is students will report increased engagement, safety, and positive school environment as measured by the district benchmark surveys. And that's beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. We do it 3 times each year. We do it for students in grades 3 through 8. And the goal was at least a 4-point increase in positive responses across these domains compared to the spring of 2025. And this is an area that we've struggled as a district. We don't know if the students weren't understanding the questions. So we really did try to put a lot of effort and work into this. And as you can see, we've made some significant improvements in our data. So in the green, you see where we went up. The minus, it's supposed to be minus on those particular questions that have the asterisk. But I'm not going to read all the questions to you, but the students answer questions like students have a voice in deciding school rules, for example. Students in classrooms make the rules together and they should be posted around the schools. So students are understanding now that that is actually what we're doing. And that has a lot to do with bringing in responsive classroom and advisory at the elementary and middle school respectively. So we're really happy with those increases. They're significant. And these are just some, I like you to see visuals of actually things that are happening in our classrooms. These every day, there's morning meetings where students they're greeted by classmates. All of the students are greeted and they have an opportunity to share and participate in a community building activity. And this is something similar at the middle school level that's developmentally appropriate for Ford Middle School students. So the district has a variety of activities throughout the year that help build a sense of belonging. And this goes along with this goal as well. SMART Goal 2, I will strengthen district-wide strategic communications to enhance transparency, trust, and engagement among all Acushnet Public School stakeholders. Through targeted professional learning, including participation in the Leading Now Cohort 16, consultation with PR vendors, and collaboration with district and community partners, I will refine systems, practices, and messages that promote clear, consistent, and effective communication across the district. So here's where we're at. Oh,
Just a quick question on
Sure.
that last piece. I was thinking about the district newsletters with
Yeah.
regards to, community communications. I know that, I have some family members who have said that they don't feel like they get the newsletters, they get sort of the junk mail, that kind of thing. Patrick, this might be a question for you, but does our email server have the capability to track open rates? It does.
We can see who opens.
That would be fantastic, because I'd love to see what percentage of email addresses we're sending out the newsletters to are actually consistently opening them.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
We can't see it at that level, that's.
Yeah, yeah, you get what I mean. You get what I
The
mean.
number,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
number.
It's my marketing brain. Like I can't help myself.
So again, this is a 2-year goal, but this is the progress so far. As part of this goal, I had applied to be selected in a grant for Leading Now, which is a national group of superintendents, and it's an opportunity that supports superintendents around the country to navigate the complexity of our roles and to strengthen public trust in order to advance the district's commitment to all students. So I started in September with my initial in-person training in Atlanta, and then you can see all of the offerings that they have for professional development. And the nice thing about this professional development is, again, it's totally grant funded this year. I've been able to bring some of my team with me to some of these webinars. So we're all benefiting from the Leading Now program. It's been absolutely amazing. They have experts on each of these topics from around the country meeting with us. And the strategic communication, Mr. Hood and I met with Guilford PR firm. We have them to do some nice stories for us in media relations, but we really wanted to have a stronger focus on strategic communications, especially as it pertains to the budget. So we did complete a contract with them to develop a strategic plan. We did have to move a workshop along the way, so we now are scheduled to meet with them as a school committee group on March 24th. And then obviously this is ongoing, and we will hear more about that as we move forward with this. SMART Goal 3, Acushnet Public Schools will collaboratively develop, approve, and provide professional development and implement an updated district strategic plan, and that will be 2026 through 2031, that clearly outlines district vision, mission, core values, strategic objectives, initiatives for continuous improvement, and success measures. And you notice along the way with our previous plan, everything we do has been related to the plan, but it's time now to really go deeper and dive in. So as you can see from this slide, there's 3 phases: building the foundation, building the plan, and then later in the spring and in the summer, we'll be implementing the plan, doing our professional development for the staff. You can see our leadership team and teachers are meeting here, all the people on the planning committee, including a parent representative. We have those meetings. We've already talked about the mission, the vision. We've had focus groups, and currently right now we are in the process of a survey that has gone out to all stakeholders. It's very important that we get input from all stakeholders, as this is not Dr. Bailey's plan, this is everyone's plan for the district. SMART Goal 4, to continue to provide a safe and healthy learning environment that prioritizes the well-being of every Acushnet Public Schools community member. We've done quite a bit in this area. You can see that we have 4 safety and wellness committee meetings, and you can see we've done quite a bit of new professional development in that area, as really it's been a focus of that committee. So all paras this year were trained in CPR. We've had advanced ALICE training. We had Stop the Bleed training, and you can see the retired Colonel Gavigan here, providing that training for the staff. Food allergies, choke saving procedures, and then some of the focus areas that we're going to be moving into is bicycle safety, anti-bullying assemblies. We have Gazelle from Fund 107 coming in April to do both schools. We have a campus traffic safety study happening next year. We have internet safety for families, date to be determined. We also do an internal audit called the PASS, School Safety and Security Checklist. Oops. And that's just us saying, yes, we have this in place, no, we don't have this in place. We also have the AIM curriculum pilot, which is something that Colleen Doyle, our Director of Student Services, can speak to, but we're just starting that process this year. So if you want to just take a couple of minutes just to explain that. Sure.
Can you all turn the microphone to the podium?
Oh, do you want to go up there then with the mic? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey and school committee members. So I just wanted to take a moment to share with you some information regarding the AIM curriculum. It is a social emotional learning curriculum that was designed by a behavior specialist named Mark Dixon, along with some clinicians, with the goal of creating a product that can be implemented by teachers as well as special educators and support personnel within the school. AIM stands for Accept, Identify, Move, and it basically takes the concept of acceptance commitment therapy along with mindfulness training and blends the two to create the opportunity for staff to mentor students to be able to create a self-determined plan for mental wellness and to be able to regulate their behavior as well as to do some goal planning that assists that self-determination process. And so sort of the main context of it is that students select their own goals and values, and then working with staff along with some of the curricular materials and design, they work along this continuum to really reflect on the actions that they take as well as the non-actions and how those things help move them toward versus away from their goals and values. And it's a nice concrete product so that it's easy to take data to show the progress. It's easy for students to be able to see sort of where they've started and then how they've progressed. And it's something that they can repeat over and over again to just make part of their toolkit for self-determined planning and then just overall social emotional wellness. And we're really just in the introductory stages. So our school adjustment counselors now have this information. We're setting them up with training that they can do online, which will be a self-paced opportunity. There are some live trainings that we might pursue moving forward. Initially, we're going to use it through the special ed lens to collect data via IEP goals and objectives, so sort of on a smaller scale and in a more specialized context, but it is something that can grow to be a whole school support for students. And given the fact that one of our main components of our mission and vision is student safety and emotional wellness, I think that it's a really good product and it will be a nice addition to what we offer students in that area.
Thank you. So also in your packet, you can link to the next safety and air quality calendar. That just gives you an idea of all the different things that we've been doing in terms of project discussions. And I want to thank Mr. Ellis for being our representative from the school committee to work with the town for these discussions to really get that project at the elementary school going. And Mr. Petronio applying for grants, etc. We've been very, very busy, but you can take your own time to look at that list, that extensive list. And then these are just pictures from Stop the Bleed and professional development. We had Mr. Tomlinson, who is also on our safety committee. He's a parent, and he's got extensive training that he was able to offer us that day. The staff really did appreciate all of the safety training. So now we get into the standards, and again, we're putting just the big picture things right now. I've spent a lot of time on high school research and tuition agreements this year. As you know, we had the high schools present to us back in August. We created rubrics for you. We arranged visits, parent panels, teacher panels. It was very, very extensive, and I appreciate how seriously this committee took that. Obviously, another big bucket this year is our strategic planning. Applied learning, that's ongoing professional development. We've talked a lot about that during school committee meetings. We have the Applied Learning Leadership Institute, investigating history, grades 5 through 7, Open SciEd, 6 through 8, and DKP, which is Democratic Knowledge Project, in grade 8. And actually, Massachusetts Council for Social Studies recognized recently one of our teachers, Karen Bentley, and there'll be more information coming about that at a future school committee meeting. Multi-tiered systems of support at AES, assessment data, of course we're continuing with all our assessments, and just some of our recent grants, Ignite Reading Seats and Project Lead the Way. One thing that we've added to our learning walks this year is learning walks not only within district, but we've done a lot of learning walks outside the district to really elevate our teaching and learning, and it's really showed to be very good with our teachers. So professional development, those are our teacher leaders, and we're really diving in deep to the updated educator evaluation rubric for all teachers, and those teacher leaders will be leading the professional development for all of the teachers. And then here you can see that on the left is a kindergarten classroom, and strong instruction really starts at the pre-K kindergarten level. And here's an example of differentiating instruction. And on the right is a picture at FMS. This is an example of teachers showcasing that applied learning. It's the investigating history curriculum through a learning walk. And those adults in the room are actually from Westport Public Schools. And also earlier in the year, we hosted King Philip Middle School. So again, our middle school has been a model for applied learning, which is great. Again, under instructional leadership, we do, this is our partners in New Bedford with our leadership team over the summer. We were able to attend New Bedford to do some of our work, our team building. We have a grade 6 this year toured New Bedford High School, and they had organized 3 different activities for our students. We actually had a lesson going on in the school on astronomy, so we thought, let's get that field experience and go to the newly updated planetarium at the New Bedford High School. We had astronomy activities in the library, and juniors and seniors were teaching our students about water filtration, and the kids absolutely loved it. So this was a new field trip that we added this year intentionally. Planned it so that kids could get that field experience in addition to getting the classroom experience. And we also wanted our students at an earlier age to see all the great things that our high school partners have to offer in the other districts. So that's going well. Standard 2, we have management and operations. So obviously we have our district calendar. We're going to talk more about that tonight. We have our air quality project, and you saw the calendar listed of all the things there. We have a lot of technology infrastructure updates that are happening within the district with Wi-Fi, etc. We have that solar canopy project that will be happening this summer. My office handles all of the human resources and personnel matters. Family communication, we have school and district newsletters, school handbooks, which drive everything for students and staff. We had quite a bit of snow removal this year, and that really did take a lot of organization, especially with the unprecedented storm and the blizzard we had this year. I talked a little bit about the special education audit, and as you know, in the past, we've done other audits, such as curriculum, technology. We had the Sheriff's Office do the facilities, safety and security audit, and we also do a self-evaluation audit as well. And then we have professional and leadership development, and those, again, are department-specific trainings, our summer institute. I meet one-to-one with all of the leaders, the monthly leadership team meetings, and we're also each year have been doing a book study. And this particular year is focused on the communication and listening leader, which goes along with the goal. So again, talking about the storm, we usually plow out our campus ourselves, but there was so much snow, and due to the volume of snow, our plow broke, and the smaller plows really could not do it. So in working with the town, I was talking to the Board of Selectmen Chair on a daily basis, talking to Dan Menard on a daily basis, to Mr. Petronio, to Mr. Hood. All of the stakeholders working together, we were able to get the big trucks in to help us out from the town, as well as from PJ Keating. This right here, this is Brian Rice. He had his machine here for PJ Keating. He was a great help to us to move a lot of, even after we plowed, to move some of those snow piles so that we wouldn't have mounds that were unsafe for our students to come back to. We also had our students write letters at both schools to both the custodians and maintenance staff, because while we were all at home in our warm houses, they were here daily dealing with the snow. So it was important to us that our students also understood how to show gratitude. So as a matter of fact, The DPW called, Dan Menard called me. He was so thrilled with the chart paper letters that we sent them. He said he was going to be laminating them and posting them all over his office. So I was happy to hear that as well. Standard 3, family and communication engagement. We continue to collaborate with town officials. As you know, we meet with all the boards, constantly calling them individually as well. We have facilities used for sports and other organizations that come in, whether it's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, athletics. We talked about school and district newsletters, PTO events, and fun nights. We do a lot of family surveys so that we can really keep a pulse on what our families are thinking. Stakeholder involvement in strategic planning, I've already talked about that. This year, a new partnership is Greater New Bedford Voc Tech. Our maintenance department did a lot of interviews for our co-op students, and we have 2 co-op students who are with us this year from the stationary engineering shop. And it's really a win-win for us and them. They're getting a skill set and experience, and we're getting, help. Inexpensive help, and it really has been wonderful. They check the boilers every day. They've done a lot of work on the air handler units, the thermostats, you name it, they're doing it, and they've been absolutely wonderful. They even helped during the blizzard with the shoveling, so that was wonderful. Another new partner is the Judith Ford Latif family. They donated this year, as you know, $25,000 in scholarships. And tonight I'll also be talking about a donation they're going to be making, $20,000 to build a school store. So we'll talk about that later on, but that's a new partnership. Our new staff orientation and tour, that's very inclusive of community partners throughout town that we go on visits with. PJ Keating, not only do they donate financially to us, as you can see from a school committee meeting, where they have their golf tournaments and want to make improvements in the school, but they also do some education for us, and we'll talk about that. Our 1-8 Foundation, area high schools and colleges. We also had a holiday gift card drive, and we continue to do philanthropy for families in need, and that's really important to us. And you can see from some of these pictures, you can see the police department doing our high fives. PJ Keating, the Rocks Are Our World lesson for all of our 4th graders they did this year, and that was new. Like the library when we went on tour. So there's quite a bit happening. This is parents in the schools building snowmen activities. This is a parent and also a staff member at our Gifts to Give Literacy Day, which was held on a Saturday, and I went to that. And not only did they have all the books that they were giving away for the students, but they had activities for the parents and the students, so it was really a great thing. Standard 4, which is the last standard, is professional culture. We continue to access our media with Fund 107 articles. We did one on Custodial Appreciation Day, and I can't say enough, and the kudos and shout outs that I want to give them this year. I got not one complaint with all of the work that they did during the blizzard. It was amazing. We had a Standard Times video, which is, they highlighted Christine Daniels, who was the longest serving teacher in our district. We had an educators night recently at Southeast Sportsplex, and it was open to all staff, administrators, teachers, everyone to play pickleball. I do a monthly You've Got Mugged, and I have these 2 big mugs in my office with all of the teachers and paras. Everybody's name is in it. I pick one every month, and then that person is allowed to leave early, and I cover the class, and I love doing it. It keeps me connected to the kids, and keeps me in teaching, really, what I love to do. We have the leadership book study, I mentioned that. We have the institutional self-evaluation, and this was a result of a tiered focus monitoring through DESE that we had. Our district leaders review data points each month, and it could be attendance, it could be student performance, it could be discipline referrals, after-school help, athletics, busing, etc. So we parse out the data and we determine where inequity exists, we self-reflect, and then we generate ideas for improvement. New this year also, we model responsive classroom approaches with leadership and staff. So during all of our leadership meetings, we model what it looks like in the schools so the principals can see. New this year is Joint Labor Management Committee, and we have 4 meetings scheduled for this year. I believe we've already had 3, and that's where staff come together from each school with all of the central leadership and principals, and we problem solve any issues that come up, and we just talk about ways to make things better. We have our leadership team meetings and institutes, which is all of our professional development, and then the SILT and the staff convocation. We have quite a bit of PD that day and planning that goes into it. So you can just see some pictures here from the pickleball, from the convocation. This is the first day tour of our new staff. In the summertime, we go around the town and do our visits. This is some PD where you have staff collaborating and reflecting. This was from New Bedford Public Schools when we had our institute. And then each year at the convocation, we have t-shirts for our staff, we take a group picture. And one of our teachers actually comes up with the theme every year. This year is Nothing But Net, Wildcats Aiming High. And this is our picture from this past year. So again, this just gives you a little bit of a lot of work that our amazing team in Acushnet is doing. And it is a lot, but I can't say enough about the team that I have with me to do this work. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so I'm going to move on. The school calendar. The 26-27 school year calendar that I gave you last month, I gave you a month to, look it over. Did anybody have any concerns or questions or issues with it? I do know that we did put one calendar just for school committee meetings on a separate one, just because it gets to be a lot of things for people. And then on our website, we list all of our school committee meetings. But if nobody has any issues with next year's calendar, I would be looking for a vote on that tonight, so that we can get that out to families.
Any discussion? Okay. All right. Can I have a motion? We need a vote, right? Motion to approve the 26-27 school calendar as presented.
Seconded.
Do a roll call, or all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Unopposed.
Okay, now we're going to go back to the 25-26 school year calendar, this year's calendar, based on the unprecedented blizzard that we had. We are up to 7 snow days this year, and we've been very fortunate for the past several years. We've had no snow days. So to have 7 this year is quite a bit. Nobody wants to be in school at the end of June. It's not always productive, it's hot. So we're gonna, I do have a recommendation for a change and a discussion item as well before we vote on this. But we're up to 7 days. The commissioner did put out some guidance, and basically what he said is you have to have the 180 days. You have to make up your days all the way up to June 26th, which if we did the 7 days, we would be at June 26th, is now being our last day of school. But my recommendation tonight is we currently have Good Friday off, which is April 3rd. I met with the union met with them, and they voted unanimously to support the recommendation of holding school on Good Friday. So my recommendation today is to at least get 1 day back, which is April 3rd on the Good Friday, if you are in agreement with that. So that was the first thing. So that is my recommendation. And then the other point of conversation that I wanted to just throw out there is the only other option, and it's not necessarily my recommendation, is on April 28th, we have a professional development day. The reason why we schedule that professional development day is because it's town elections, and we have elections happening here at the elementary school gym. So we will have people here, PD, while we have elections, and we've done that in the past. To make up that day, we could have the students come that day during elections, and the teachers would have to make up the day at the end, whereas the students would have another day less in June. So by doing Good Friday, we're up to the 25th, June 25th. And now there's a possibility of just throwing it out for conversation. It's not ideal, and my recommendation would be that if you did want to look into that, we would definitely have to, have high security in the gymnasium area, make some changes. We've done it one other time before that I know of, and, unless the town, I don't think they'll can do this, but unless they can change the election location. And I know we've had a change in town administration, so I don't think the new one's there yet. I did try to put a call into Chairman Wonar to have that discussion, so I'd be interested in hearing, A, what you think about Good Friday, my recommendation to have school on that day, and B, how you feel about the town elections. And again, I'm not necessarily recommending that, I'm just letting you know that's the only other day in this year's calendar that is even a possibility to make up. And we will not be eligible for a waiver because with the 7 days, you go to the 26th. So it's only if you go after the 26th.
It's only after, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know how I feel about that election day.
Well, tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
It's a no. I don't think we can have enough safety to have all these people from the town coming into our buildings and protecting our kids. So I'm all for, I want them to make the days. So, but when it comes to safety, I really feel like election day is not one of the days that we should have the kids back. Good Friday, absolutely. But that's just where I stand. I don't know how anyone else feels, but
I could say coming from the standpoint of mental health too, just in seeing some of the clients that I do see and knowing the mental health stability too, I just worry put into a situation what might happen if somebody goes upset in a situation. And I do think because of what has happened in schools in the past, I'm concerned about safety too.
Risk, right?
Yeah,
it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately, assuming we have no further cancellations, which, stranger things have happened. We've had March snowstorms. We
April
could
1st.
theoretically have some sort of catastrophic thing where the schools lose power after March 31st, which I think is the cutoff date for, not having to make up additional days.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen. Ultimately, if we say we're going to, have the kids come to school on the 25th of June, which I believe is a Thursday, right? It's a Thursday. Yeah. We might very well be forced back into this situation later on in the year. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it is what it is. As far as having elections while school is in session, I'm not partial to that approach. Just because there's too many unknowns. It's not that I don't trust the community, but just there's a lot of folks coming into the building that we don't have eyes on. Ultimately, use the bathrooms, even with additional police details, which do cost money, incidentally. I don't know if the town would pay for that or if we would, but with the additional expense, the additional risk, and even to Ebony's point, disruption of routine for kids who maybe are more sensitive to that because they have maybe some additional needs. It doesn't strike me as a very good plan. To my mind, it does bring up the need to have further conversations with the town about potentially exploring other venues for town elections. Obviously, these are the biggest buildings in town. We've been using them for elections for a long time.
Yeah.
There may not be other facilities in town that can easily host them, but we're talking about annual impacts to our school calendar and restricting our ability to make up days in extreme circumstances like this. It's worth having that conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll echo the sentiments of my committee members, so I'm all in on Good Friday. I have almost no interest in having a school day during an election, and that has nothing to do with not trusting the community. This is just too much traffic of people coming in and out of a school with kids in school, and I think I have something to say about safety and security later. But previous iterations of this committee have spent a lot of time talking about safety and security. I think we should have a conversation about that too, but it just doesn't really line up, I think, with some of those previous conversations and how I think this committee probably feels about safety and security, so I'm not for that, but I'm with Jesse. I think, Ms. Ellis, I think we could have a conversation with the town and it's not to put them in a tough spot. We could talk about what the other solutions are, give plenty of notice, try to figure out a solution to, because I do think it's, when it starts to impede on the school calendar, it's something we need to talk about to say, are there other options that would better serve us and serve the community? Because nobody probably wants, except for School Aaron wants their kids in school to the 26th, although
Very last day.
I might be in favor of that.
I want them
Like said,
making
it wasn't
up the time.
necessarily my recommendation, but to
Yeah.
be fair, that was the only other day that I would offer up as a point of discussion. So I'm not surprised by the discussion. So,
Yeah, so,
Precincts too, so.
Yeah,
it used to be,
Precinct,
yeah.
We can bring that
So it was
back.
separated by precincts, so there were different
Yeah.
spots to go.
Yeah, I know I voted at council on aging before.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's not really any other big buildings in town. Like town hall isn't set up to host elections. Parting Ways really isn't set up to host elections. And we can't really do it in one of the emergency facilities like police, fire, or EMS. So options are pretty limited, but I think it still is important to at least see if anything else can be done. Especially around like dismissal time. Like I really don't like seeing all the additional traffic for folks who maybe only have to come to the schools once a year or twice a year to vote, trying to navigate dismissals and buses leaving and arriving. It's just not.
So my recommendation would be to have school, to schedule a school day now on April 3rd. We have our staff in agreement with it. And then what I would do is let our families know tomorrow, but then I never let them know the final thing until April because we could have another snow day. You just don't know during this month. Just, although it seems like we've turned the corner with weather, so I'm so happy that it's finally
Stranger
getting
things have
warm.
Don't say it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So do we need a vote? So we need a motion, we're gonna have school on Good Friday, and the last day of school is gonna be June 25th.
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
As of right now.
As of right now.
Yeah, I'd motion to hold school on Good Friday with the projected final school day of June 25th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none,
Thank you.
motion passes
Thank you.
unopposed.
Next, I mentioned previously, the Ford family wants to build a school store and possibly name it for Judith Boutique. And we'll bring that up. We want to follow our policies, so we're going to bring that up. I don't think we have an issue with necessarily naming the school store, but we will do things appropriately through the policy subcommittee. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I think it's a great
Apparently
idea.
Judith-
I mean, we used to have a school
had an
store.
art store, and they were
Yeah.
very, loved the idea of establishing a store
Yeah.
in our school, and there's lots of things and ideas that we have that students can be involved in it, the community can be involved in it, so we're really super excited about that. So I would need a vote on that to accept the donation of $20,000 from the family.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes
Thank
unopposed.
you.
I would just say thank you. It's a
Yeah,
incredible,
tremendous gratitude.
generous
Oh, listen,
donation, so.
They've also, that's the
Yeah.
same family that donated $25,000 in scholarships money, and we've been working great with them. Also, I need a vote to accept a donation of a clarinet from Carla and Donnie Williams.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes
Thank you.
unopposed. I would thank Carla and Donnie Williams for the donation.
Carla and
Thank you.
Donnie.
We appreciate all those donations, very important. It gives another student an opportunity to play an instrument. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Before we move on, I just wanted to make a point question with regards to the school calendar. For future years, I know we've already approved the 26-27 calendar, and I don't anticipate that we're going to have blizzards like this annually or even again in my lifetime. But I think it might be worth discussing for future school years, potentially 27-28, adopting DESI's recommendation of adjusting our scheduled school vacations, potentially eliminating February vacation in favor of a March break instead, which hopefully would avoid the perfect storm that we got this year of, you know, a gigantic blizzard falling immediately after scheduled school vacation and causing an extended period of time out of school. I know that, you know, there are families that had some logistical challenges as a result of that, especially I got a friend of mine has a special needs student, and that was pretty disruptive to their routine, which is very important for them. So I think it's a tough discussion because it would be a big change in the way that we schedule our time as a district, and it would take a lot of discussion with the Teachers Association as well, but I think it's an important one.
I think it's a good conversation, and I think intuitively when you, I said this 6 years ago, and I think the union almost threw something at me here, but you get through the December break, and then you're like, February vacation, and then in April, like, why don't we just split the difference in April and March? So intuitively it makes sense, but there's some logistics and things we would have to work out, but I think it's worth a conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Good evening, school committee members, Dr. Bailey. I have some fun updates. DESI Sims certification. We recently completed and certified our DESI Sims report. This is a state reporting process we use to ensure student information is accurate for enrollment, services, and state reporting. A strong focus on quality data is extremely important because it supports our reporting, our funding, ensures that our students are properly accounted for. I want to thank our admin assistants for their attention to the detail on this, and I'd like to give a special thank you to Kathleen Bourne, our district data coordinator, for all of her hard work. MCAS preparation. MCAS is right around the corner. I'm happy to report that our technology systems have been fully tested and are ready. This includes device readiness, network capacity, and the testing platform validation. For parents listening, if your child is experiencing any issues with their Chromebook, please let us know as soon as you can, because we want to have that resolved before the testing. And then also, please just make sure their Chromebooks are fully charged before the testing window occurs. All right, and as many of you know, the MCAS testing platform has changed so many times. I just want to give a huge thank you to our admin, our teachers, our staff. Everybody's done a great job adapting to this, and it's been wild. Just from a tech director's perspective, it's been nuts on how much we've changed for such a critical platform, if you will. Quick recap, last month, and I just wanted to bring this up. I wanted to briefly recap for families and community members. Last month, I submitted a tech update regarding significant progress, modernizing our district's core infrastructure. The district has been approved for E-rate Cat 2 funding to support the purchase of the new district firewall. This is our final major piece for our core modernization project. The bidding process is completed through our federal E-rate program. That's our Form 471. We have selected a vendor whose proposal came in at the lowest, so I know you guys would be happy with that, but also they were perfect with meeting our requirements. Our goal is to receive the equipment in the next couple months and implement that before the start of the new school year. This upgrade will further strengthen our cybersecurity, yada, yada, yada. But what it really does is it ensures us for the next 10 plus years, like I've been doing with our 10-year plan. So important to note, though, just like everything we've been doing since I've been here, the technology department takes everything in-house. So we configure, we migrate, and we do not outsource this work. So in many cases, districts will pay vendors $10,000 to $15,000 plus to do this kind of work. We do it all in-house. So everything that we've actually migrated over to a new platform, we've handled internally. By performing this work, it means we save money. It's a great training process for our techs. And then we maintain full control. So it's really good for us, and I just want to say thank you to our tech team for this, because I know I've thrown a lot at them for these 3 years. And that's it. Any questions, anything I can answer? Okay.
No, great work. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Tough act to follow.
It always is. When you know your subject, you can talk for a while. So my finance report for this month begins with what I put every month is the budget to actual. So we've gone through 8 periods so far from July to February. So my report reflects the financials for those 8 periods, and I compare this year to last year. And what I really look closely at always is the salaries, because that's our biggest line item. So it looks like we're a little underspent compared to last year, which is good. On professional salaries, that's how we want to be going strong. I've made all of my adjustments back on those salaries that I need through the grants. You'll see down on the other salaries, which is primarily paraprofessionals, we look like we've spent a little more. That's because I still have about a half dozen or more salaries to move over to grants. I was waiting for the town hall to finish setting up the new accounts for that. But overall, we're right on par with what we should be this time of year. We will end very tight, which I was hoping, to do a little better so that we have some funds to maybe move forward to next year. but we'll see as the next few months pan out. But overall, everyone's staying within their budgets, within their line items, and I've got nothing else, no issues to report on that. We've talked a lot about facilities tonight. As you know, they did a great job with the storm. The Ford F-150 we have was no match for the storm. When they called me, I was on my phone when they called me, they said they couldn't even get in the parking lot. The snow, so we had to wait for the DPW to make a path for us. But by the time they made the path and they came in, there was no place to put the snow. So that's when DPW got us Keating and Company, and they were able to move snow, literally pick it up and move it. And as you saw, by the time they were done, the piles were so high that we thought, we said, the buses can't see. You can't, that's how high. So we asked them if they would remove the tops of the bank. It all got put to the side and out back, which is now melting, but that's how much snow there was. Snow blowers all worked. We just sent them out this morning to get tuned up again, just in case there's another storm that comes in. But the guys went up on the roof, make sure the roofs were okay, spoke to an engineer, and the amount of snow we had up there wasn't a concern, but I am going to give him the designs of our roof, which is found him, and he'll put together for me a chart, so we'll know when there's so many inches on our roof, and if it rains, then we have to get up there and actually shovel them off. Because there was a school in Kingston, I think, that the roof caved in the gym. So I'll be getting that. I just don't have a printer yet, a scanner to scan the plans, so I'm working on that to get done. Like I said, they worked tirelessly throughout the week. And the water drainage was good on the roofs. We didn't get any new leaks. We sealed the roofs back in October. I had a company come up and spray them and sealed, did some patches. Our guys did some patches with that Flex Seal. We wanted to try it, and it held out. So we went to great without any issues. And like I said, the drains were great.
Closet.
Yes, the gym
Closet held up.
Held up.
That's good.
Completely, it's all brand new. That's in great shape. So we'll move on there. With our co-op student, as the superintendent said, we're replacing a lot of the actuators and motors that open and close and allow water to flow through to different classrooms and whatnot. Some are frozen open, that's why classrooms would be 85 degrees, and some are frozen closed. And they would manually turn them with a wrench to get some water. So now we're working on replacing them. These kids are coming in great. I'm hoping to, depending on our budget next year, to find a source. Maybe someone will willing to donate the money to pay their salary. We're paying minimum wage basically, but so that we can get, again, 2 students back. They do 6 to 8 rotations, so they're all the time, and they're great. We go through a boiler every morning, make sure everything's working properly. And I said the boilers we'll have a long discussion on, because those are an item that are, they're from 1971. And the useful life is pretty much done, so we have to be prepared for those. Food service has been doing well with the breakfast, the grab-and-go breakfast. Just a couple weeks ago, they started doing a hot breakfast in the mornings. They do a croissant with egg and cheese, and it's a big hit. So we're looking at possibly, depending on the cash flow, we're going to do the new service, the new stations, the serving stations. Again, because those hold water and they heat up, they wear out over time. And those are, we looked at them from 1971. So we'll be updating you on what we do with those. If everything else goes well with our contracts, we'll be looking at doing new freezers, literally from the last day of school. And knock out the ones we have and put new ones in. It's about a 6-week project, so we'll have it done for school opens. Transportation is the same. Transportation is, again, our kids to school every day, and we've got no real issues. We've got a lot of changes in costs for parents. Bonnie in our office handles that. And no major issues with that. The solar array that we talked about goes over the parking lot. The Board of Selectmen and the school committee have signed off on that. Select has signed off on it. I got my copy this morning. So that's all set in place. So we're going to begin planning putting that array in. Last week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, I got a phone call from them that said, hey, there was a grant what they call a battery system that goes on your solar array. You didn't qualify before because they look at your poverty ratings, but because not enough people applied, there's millions of dollars, they've opened it up to you, but you need it by next Friday. So I finished my portion of the application this morning. Select is going to finish it. 90% funding on $2.5 million for the battery backup system. The other portion, Select will make up because they want to be the owners of the batteries. They own the solar panels, they own the batteries. So I said to them, well, this is just an application. I'll discuss it with the school committee and then eventually with the town, but I don't see that being an issue.
There's no financial impact to the budget of the town.
And what's great about it is it holds enough power for 2 weeks. So opposed to us having to draw power when there's no sun or when there's snow, we'll have a 2-week draw that we'll be pulling up our own power. So we can do, again, we can do some pretty good savings, and the way they're going to pay for it is by changing our model that we've set up, which again, I'm involved in. That would be great if we have solar backup. Plus, I think in talking with Patrick, it would help our technology department is, what would it do?
Jump in.
Sure.
So we have aging battery backup systems, and you have that in most IT worlds. If we get this, and we were talking with Pat Macbeck before, essentially what it does is it replaces, so we don't have to pay for that $40,000 or $50,000, and it simply stays with the solar company, which is fantastic for us, you know they'll maintain it. The other part is just what that does for IT systems and any kind of emergency system is it just keeps it from having that power off, hard power off, and hard power on. So it just saves the life of our equipment, which is great, because we just put brand new equipment.
Exactly, for sure.
So I'll get as much information on that to you as soon as it comes in. Like I said, I did my portion today. I know that they're looking to get their portion in tomorrow. So by the end of the week, hopefully I'll have something on that. And we're in great shape because in applying for this grant, one of the questions was, are you a shelter? Yes, we are. Do you currently have a generator? Yes, how old is it? It's original.
Right.
So those two factors alone should help our application process get through and hopefully receive this grant.
That's fantastic.
Do we have any school member reports? The only thing I wanted to say, because as you were talking, Dr. Bailey, with an update on your goals, I know I might have said this at a meeting or two ago, I'd like to, maybe in our next meeting, an exec session, depending on what's on the agenda, I'd like to have a conversation about safety and security, and I'd like to do that before we get for that far along with the budget, so that way if there's anything that we discuss as a committee that we feel like needs to be incorporated, we don't miss out on the budget.
We'll put it on the next agenda.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe what we could do, we had an audit, I know it was a couple of years ago, but it might be good to start with that, look at the things that we did as a result of that, and the things that maybe we didn't do, and see if that's just some things that we should talk about.
Do we currently have a committee appointee to the Safety and Policy Committee?
No, we don't, but I think at times we've opened it up and said if somebody, anyone can feel free to step in and try that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
If you
I'll let
could.
Ms. Revere, she's not able to be with us tonight, but
Of
she,
course.
and Ms. Doyle, they co-facilitate
Sure.
that committee, but
Great.
definitely.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, any questions on any of the communication and information that was included in the packet? No? Okay, so we will, and we're coming back, right? Exec session?
No, we're not.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn the meeting to enter into executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel without reason to return to open session business manager. Do I have a motion?
So motion.
Second.
Let's do a roll call.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mrs. McGuinn? Yes. Mrs. Cudera?
Yes.
Mr. Noy?
Yes.